Hi. Hello. I'm so excited you're here.
I'm really gassed to be here. Thanks for having me.
We've been trying to make this happen for ages.
Like pre-podcast launch.
Yeah, it was like I want to say October last year.
Yeah, because that was when I met you, and then we texted each other like, "I fancy you."
Yeah, literally
we
like
had
best friends forever. We did have a moment.
It was very cute.
Our little first date in Flat White in Soho. My favorite.
I know, and
shop.
it blew my mind for the coffee. I was like, "This is the best coffee I've ever."
It's so good, right? Which you understand why now I have meetings there.
No, I completely get it.
So obviously I know you, and this is why I'm so excited for you to be on this podcast because I want everyone else to get to know you. So you're on TikTok. You have 7 point something million likes now, 1.4 million followers, I think. Going all the way back, childhood to now, what has your journey been to get to this point right now?
Whoa, she's
going
going deep.
there. Yeah, we're going
she's not
there.
even. I'm going to put the coffee down for this.
Put the caffeine down.
It's quite the story. Well, obviously, I was at school and I wanted to be something when I grew up. I just didn't know what. So I was doing my A levels. All my friends were going off to uni, and I was like, I'm just kind of done with education. I'm just not sure it's for me. If I look at another essay, I might throw up. I just can't go and get more qualifications. So I wanted to be a makeup artist at the time. And I was introduced by actually my partner to making videos. And he was like, why don't you make some content to try and get some makeup work in? And I was like, whoa, that's actually a really good idea. So I started out on Facebook and I was making makeup videos. I'd never made a video in my life. I didn't know anything about iMovie or camera or setup or anything. And yeah, I began making videos, grew a small audience on Facebook, but quickly fell in love with creating an audience rather than the makeup. Like the makeup was a means to the end. Like the whole point was creating content. And then after that was introduced to a platform called Musical.ly, it was very much in its infancy. It started in 2014. This is now 2017. And they were like, everyone on Musical.ly is like 9 years old. They're lip syncing and dancing. It's a massive platform in the Western world as well as in China, because obviously that's where it like originated from. So you should try and like make an audience on there with what you're doing on Facebook. And I was like, fair enough. That's a really good idea. It took me 2 weeks to conjure up the balls to post my first video on Musical.ly. And then that was kind of it, really. I just treated it as a 9 to 5. I was doing, I would sit in a cafe from 9 o'clock and I would do all my admin. So I had an account with 0 followers. I was just like, I'm just going to try and make people like me. I'd come up with a whole strategy, create content in the afternoon. I'd live stream for 4 hours every day, edit until like midnight, and then do the same thing every day, post 3 times a day. And then after a year of doing that, I hit 1 million followers. So it was just a crazy journey from like 0 to 1 mil. And then started working for TikTok for a short time. I ran their UK TikTok account and their Instagram. And then, yeah, after that, I kind of got a good idea of how everything worked internally, how things were working from a creator point of view, but also what brands were wanting. Because I was talking to the odd brand here or there, like One Piece and things like that, and kind of doing like light consultation on what this platform was. And I was like, I think this is going to be the next big thing, and I want to push it from an external point of view to kind of like show people what I was seeing as an opportunity, and not just me, but like a group of us as creators, what we were seeing as an opportunity. So I started working for a company called Jungle Creations, and I was their TikTok manager. They had one account with 150k followers, which is great, but with a publisher, if they've got over, 40, 50 million followers across the board, 150k is kind of the least of their worries. But by the end, after 2 years, we had 7 accounts across 7 different verticals. So that was food, female-focused fitness, news and entertainment, arts and crafts, like you name it, there was an account for it. We had over 2 million followers across the board. I was working with their partnerships team, so I was learning how to how marketing kind of worked on a loose sense. And then I was just kind of like, this TikTok train is going so quick. I've been on it for the last 6 years or however long it had been. If I don't carry on and stay on it now and really push it, I might as well just go for a different, not USP, but a different world of working. So yeah, I bullied my teammate Matt to come with me. He, the best person I've ever worked with, and he's just a super genius in what he does. So I was just like, do you want to come with me and just try something out and give it a year? At the end of the day, if it doesn't work, we're only 24. Who cares? So no one will remember what you do at 24. And then yeah, that takes us to last September. So now we're 8 months old as Antler, TikTok first agency. We run accounts and campaigns and strategy for all sorts of different brands and a couple of creators. And that's kind of it.
Go back to the start. You are 17. And all your friends going to university.
Yeah.
And you think, fuck that.
Yeah.
Why?
I just wanted to be a makeup artist. I was set from about maybe 12, I'm going to be a makeup artist. I knew it in my core. I was like, that is what I'm going to do.
Why? Where did that come from?
I just love art, love painting. I love makeup. I've just always fell in love with it. Don't really know. I just love like Strictly and like their makeup and, you know, special effects on movie. I wanted to be on a movie set. I just wanted to do like cool shit in the world of something artistic, and in that space it's makeup. And my dad really wanted me to go to uni. So I was like, trust me, Steve, I'm going to go do TikTok videos. It's going to be fine.
And how did that go down?
Not well. No, it's hard to understand when it's something that, you know, that generation don't really know social media in general. Like my mum refused to download Facebook at that time still. So it's hard to persuade or kind of ease the minds of a generation who don't understand when they know a tradition of you go to school, you get your degree, you get your GCSEs, then you get your A-levels, then you get a degree, and then you get a job, and that's how you do it. I was like, well, I'm going to get A-levels, and they're going to be shit, because they were, and I don't care about them, and I'm going to make videos, and it's going to get me somewhere. So I just treated, when all my friends went to uni, I was like, that's my 3-year uni period. Like, what I'm doing in this space, if I don't get somewhere, I don't know where, if I don't get somewhere with it after 3 years, I'll go to uni and I'll do the usual. And that was my discipline. So I was like, I've got 3 years to make something happen. And then, yeah, kind of fell into place, which was amazing, but it was an incredibly rocky road. I think I'm yet to have a spurt of 3 months where I'm like happy and relaxed. Since, like,
where do you
16.
think that discipline comes from though? Because like, I feel like we relate to each other so much, and that was evident from the first time we met each other. It was like an instant connection, and I'm like that as well. Like I am militant. So for example, if I'm working from home, I will work the hours in which I'd be working in an office, and actually probably more than those hours, because I treat it like, even before I started hiring people, I treated it like this is my job. Like it doesn't matter that I'm quote unquote working for myself, because like I still have to work. So 9 to 5 or what, I mean, it wasn't really 9 to 5, it was like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. in the beginning, but like obviously it's a lot more balanced now. But I definitely treated like this is my working day. But I'm 31, so where do you think that like discipline has come from?
Just like the need. It wasn't even a want at that point. It was like, I have to do this, like I have to get somewhere with it, because I just knew that it would open up an opportunity at some point, because I could see that influencer marketing at that point was so early on. Because we're talking 2016, 2017 when it started. So it's still quite fresh in the world of influencers. Like people were just clicking to it, but also you still had to really explain what influencers were. So I knew that what I was doing, if I did it right, it would get somewhere. I just had to be patient and do it. And it's not going to come if I just sit down and wait. I have to put in the work. It's my brand as a person. Nobody else is on, I haven't got a team, it's just me. So I have to put in the graft to make something, to create an opportunity for myself 1, 2, 3 years down the line. And also, like, I am quite a proud person. If I can do something myself and like not stand out, but do it differently, I'm all for that.
So your friends go off to university, you start making videos in your bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and that you said initially that was on Facebook. So how talk me through how you started that, because I think a lot of people think about like making a video is like the most terrifying thing they could possibly do in the world ever. So for someone who's listening to this who relates to that statement, how did you start, and like what lessons did you learn from starting and like executing?
The first video honestly makes me want to throw up. I'm gonna send it to you after this because it's
we'll put
so
it in the B-roll.
bad. Oh my god, no, please do. It's so bad. My parents were having like building work on their house, so the only light I had was a bright yellow building in like industrial lamp. So my first video was like bright orange because that was the only light I had. And at the time, when we went to parties as like, you know, teenagers, I would do all my friends' makeup. So I knew how to do makeup. Like that was the one thing that I was like, I can do that. That's the easy part. The hard part is, okay, how do I edit? And then, you know, you've got YouTube. iMovie is so easy. I was just like, I'm not going to try and become, you know, a Star Wars editor. It's my first ever video. I'm obviously not going to be amazing, but you do one, you learn, you go, okay, I'm watching this back and this is the elements that I like. But if I watch Zoella, who was massive at the time, if I watch her makeup videos, this is what I like. How did she do that? Let me have a fiddle. And obviously when you're making your own channel and growing your own platform or, you know, trying to create content, you have the beauty of time. Like, there is no rush. And that's something that I didn't figure out at that time. But like looking back, I was like, God, I just had so much time to figure out, which worked in my favor. So, you know, I'm not going to make 100 videos a day that are all going to be top quality, because that's just not possible. But I spoke to people, I listened, I saw creators who were doing an amazing job, and I asked, and we taught each other. Like, I had value to offer, and I could give that in return. It was just sort of like learning all together as like a group of kids, effectively, who were creating content that at that time was pretty revolutionary for TikTok or Musically, because we were using like DSLRs and cameras, and obviously now that's pretty standard. But back in the day, when it's just like 10-year-olds with their parents' phone logging into an account that they shouldn't even have, like, it's a completely different type of content. And, you know, being older in general, like, people kind of look up to you as like a bigger sister role. So trying to find like the value you can offer to the audience, and my value that I like kind of tacked onto very quickly was the relatable, your kind of internet friend, makeup, not even guru, but because I'm not, but like just like somebody that you can kind of relate to and talk to, and it's not somebody with 100 million followers who's never going to talk to you back. Like, obviously I'm going to speak to you, you're following me, I'm going to reply. So it was that sort of thing. But in terms of like video making, yeah, it's just like there's so many resources out there. I did 2-day course after like 2 years, because, you know, some people go to uni and that's great and they get a whole degree in editing, fantastic. I did 2-day course, and then I just figured out the rest, and I was like, sets me back like 200 quid rather than like 20 grand debt. And that's great.
I love that. I saw a tweet by Sahil, who's the co-founder of, or the founder of Gumroad, the other day. And it said, university, pay us to make you an expert in 4 years. YouTube, come and be an expert in 4 days.
Yeah.
For free.
Exactly that. And like now we're hiring people who are like, I don't know how to edit. And I'm like, here's a YouTube video, watch it, absorb it, and you'll be fine after an hour. Like, it's so easy just to pick up. If you have that flair and you understand what video you want to create, you can learn it so easily. So yeah.
A lot of people don't know this about me. My first business failed when I was 21.
I remember you telling me about this.
So and actually, like, I'm proud of that failure, because it helped me learn how to make clout a success, right? But the thing that really resonates with me about what you're saying here is like 100% of what I learned about how to run that business, I learned from YouTube. So I built my own Shopify website myself from YouTube.
Okay,
I figured out how to do a P&L, like, and finance stuff from YouTube. I figured out how to get in touch and do PR for myself on YouTube. I figured out how to grow an Instagram channel on YouTube.
It's mad,
like,
isn't it?
YouTube, that, like, literally, I don't think people understand. And this is the funny thing, right? We have clients who are like, oh yeah, but like YouTube, like, do we really want to be in there? Because like, you're not really going to grow an audience. And I'm like, you don't understand. It's basically a giant search engine where if you have a value to give anyone on anything, they will type into Google, how do you build your personal brand? Mm-hmm. How do you create a TikTok video? How do you, I don't know, sell your first business? Like, you should be, and you need to be the search result that comes up.
Yeah, but it goes as far as like, you know, when I was at Jungle and we were talking about what we could create online food orientated, we did like the back end search. And at Christmas, one of the best, like most searched thing was burritos. So we were like, well, let's make a Christmas burrito then. So you just like, by tapping into what people are searching in those patterns, you'll be able to figure out how you can utilize that to your advantage. And you're so right. Like, just, you know, the point of YouTube, I don't necessarily think is to grow to 5, 10 million followers. If you do, that's fantastic. But actually, people go there to learn now. It's such an educational platform in the world of business. I just think it's fascinating. So yeah,
like to the point where I won't even look at the instructions to build an IKEA flat pack. I will go to YouTube.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't want to read about it. I want someone to tell me how to do it while I'm doing it.
Exactly that. You're like, I want somebody to sit next to me and just go, you could do this, 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 and this. And then, you know, if we're editing a video and I need to figure out how to do an effect or how to apply that effect, I'll just have them talking and then I'll do it whilst they're doing it. Like, takes me 2 minutes.
It's so efficient.
So efficient.
I love it. You said something a minute ago, which I thought was really interesting about, like, you have time. Talk to me about that, because I think a lot of people think that building a brand of any kind or building a personal brand particularly, which you've done a very good job of on TikTok, and obviously I kind of came into all of this on LinkedIn. I think a lot of people think that it's 100% content. And my view is actually building a strong brand or personal brand is 10% content and 90% consistency over time.
Oh my God, you're so right. And like strategy and back end work and admin, like when I told people what we did, and to be fair, even now when we're making TikTok videos for clients, everyone thinks it's a 10-second video, so it's really quick. And I'm like, there is so much more to it than just edit that video and it's done. So when I was creating on my own, like as Vicky Banham, again, in hindsight, I can realize it, but I wish I'd kind of clocked it at the time, because I think it would have like settled a lot of nerves and like anxiety about the apprehension of what's to come. But you know, you're working for yourself, followers will come in, views will come in. You don't have to do everything right now. You don't have to get everything that you are planning to get right now. Like, the beauty of what we're doing, and it's so cliche, but it is the journey of like looking from start to finish. You know, my time on TikTok was about probably 3 years. But realistically, the main journey was the first year, because that's where I saw the growth. That was where I was really like wholeheartedly invested. Once I'd hit 1 million followers, that was kind of the goal. And I was like, now I can go somewhere else with it. So I did kind of step away quite drastically after the first year.
Why?
Just don't really like being on my own, like doing it by myself. It's an incredibly lonely lifestyle. Like
being a creator.
Yeah. It's like, it looks fantastic, and you portray, and it, again, everyone already knows this, but you portray such a life. And I was putting out videos where I'm having the best time with all of these other creators, and we're all glam and we're going to events. But you turn off the camera, I'm going to therapy 3 times a week because I can't deal with insecurities. I'm struggling with different levels of, you know, acceptance and all this sort of stuff, which is hard. Like, so trying to balance, and then going on to online and being yourself, getting hit with negativity, like learning. Again, at that time I'm 18, so I'm learning that self-acceptance is validation from strangers. So that's a really tough like thing to learn and try and pull yourself out of. So yeah, I just kind of got to the point where I was like, I don't care what these people think about me. Like, if they've got a negative opinion, I don't care. But I do want to sit in an environment where I'm learning with other people. I'm sociable. I'm not just sat in my bedroom by myself 24/7. All my friends went to uni and had a great time. I didn't do that by choice, which was great. However, I do want to have that element of like a social life and not having to like fake being gassed about everything all the time, because like sometimes I just want to sit in my pants and watch like EastEnders from 2007.
I think a lot of people do look at big creators, like you've got 1 million followers and 7.3 million likes on
She's done
TikTok and stuff, and, you know. And I think they look at that and go, God, I wish that was me. Yeah. Or there's like a jealousy element, or there's a, how does she do that? I want to be that. Look at these amazing things that she's doing. And they don't actually see the nasty DMs you get, or the really hateful comments, or particularly TikTok. TikTok's pretty savage.
Yeah.
I don't think people on other platforms realize quite how savage TikTok is. So how 18, how are you dealing with all that? Like, you mentioned therapy, like what impact did that have on you, and how did you deal with that?
Oh my God, if my mum watched this, she'll start crying. But like, my mum was 10 out of 10. Like, she was the person who, obviously I'm in my parents' house, I'm building these videos in my bedroom. Every time I finish a makeup look, I'm halfway through and I'm getting excited, I'll be like, Mum, come and look. And like, she'll come and look and gas me up or whatever, or like be like, I don't like that. And I'll be like, that's rude. But she was amazing. Like, we became best friends from doing that, because she was my constant throughout that whole thing. So yeah, it's just kind of like having a sense of grounding and like seeing people and spending time with people and having real conversations with people I actually care about, who actually care about me, who have done since I was a kid. Like, I have 2 of my best friends who were always in my videos, and they always like lent me their back for the body painting. We spent so much time together, and if I ever needed them to help me with a video, they would. But also, we would just spend time together, and we'd put technology away, and we'd just have like real conversations about just stuff. So just like having a sense of grounding, I think, was really important. So I didn't have, and I still don't have, a huge pool of mates, but I have those like pockets of people who I can absolutely rely on, who helped me so much throughout that time to just like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's literally fine. I'm not going to die. What's the worst that can happen?
What was the tipping point for you between, I need this validation from these strangers, I need these people to like me, to actually, I'm really confident in who I am? And like, was that a journey, or was it a moment? Like, how did that work?
Oh, it's such a moment. Like, I think because you grow up, and I do still believe that the most important years for like your development on like an emotional scale are like 17 to like 22. Like, I just think you learn so much about yourself. And then I was put myself in this like spotlight, not even a spotlight, but this kind of environment that forced me to start thinking a certain way. And then I just had this click moment where I was like, wait, I'm like, this is it. Like, this is as good as it gets. I don't know what more I can give you. If you don't like it, that's completely fine. And then it was just sort of a realization and kind of like a relaxing, almost like a soothing moment of just being like, I literally don't know what you want me to do. This is kind of it. You know, at that time, I was quite lucky that I was in the era of Musical.ly and TikTok where people were just nice. There wasn't that like brutal, relentlessly brutal as well hatred. Like, there was some, of course, because that's the nature of it, but there wasn't anything near to what it is today. It's unbelievable today. And again, I think that's just because of like who the audience is. Like, they've grown up, they have those like more surefire opinions that they just feel like they need to say. So yeah, I just think I had this tipping moment where I was like, I don't need this. Like, this is so, I've done what I set out to do. And it was that goal point as well. I hit the 1 million followers and I was like, I've done it now. So I'm going to go and do something else that I can be excited about again and grow again. And that's where Jungle came in. And then I met people at Jungle, and that was when I like found my people. You know, when you like find your people and you're like, you're a good bunch. They basically like just accepted. My favorite kind of jokes are burps, farts and vomit. Can't get enough of it. I think it's hilarious.
And got a sense of humour of a 12-year-old boy.
100%. But they like reciprocated it, and I was sending messages to one of my like on my team 3 weeks in, talking about like vaginal things and like labia and all this sort of stuff, because I think it's funny. Like, nothing gross, but just hilarious. Like, just making jokes out about like African snails looking like fannies, like all this sort of stuff. They were like, that's really funny. And I was like, whoa, I've never had that before. Yeah. And that was the turning point where I was like, oh, like I can just do who I am, and then people can either accept it or not. And that was the point where I was like, great.
I actually think the trolling that I've had so there's a difference here. I think actually people disagreeing with your opinion is a good thing, because it keeps me and probably generally people like gets rid of the confirmation bias that you have. Like, I fucking hate it when you see people post stuff and everyone's like, I agree, and it's like, where is the difference of opinion here? Like, and the issue I find with that is, if everyone agrees with each other, how do we get better? How do we improve? How do we challenge ideas and innovate and all these things? Because if you're constantly just confirming each other's biases, like, that's an echo chamber, right? I find that very toxic. And I think LinkedIn's a little bit like that. It's like, yeah, fine, I agree with you. And it's like, do you though? Like, anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But I do think though, a lot of the probably not nice comments and the nasty DMs and stuff I've had, have actually built up a resilience and a confidence in me that I didn't have previously. So it's almost like the bullshit stuff that people say has actually made me even more confident to say stuff that pisses them off. I don't know if you can relate to that.
No, 100%. And also it makes you even more sure in your opinions and values. Like, it goes deeper than an opinion, right? It goes to, as far as, this is what I believe in myself, in the world, in what I'm saying, whatever. It gives you a whole new confidence. And like, I used to be such a sheep in that if somebody said something, I was that, oh my God, I agree, even if I didn't, just because it was easier. Like, I don't want to deal with the conflict.
But why do you think we do that? Why do you think people do that?
Oh my God, are we having a therapy session right now? I don't know. I think it's
because
easier.
People do.
It's a hierarchy thing, in my opinion, where it's, I see you as a stronger, more authoritative person, so it's easier to agree rather than deal with potential backlash of not. And like being swarmed by a negative wave of whatever that might look like. It's easier just to accept and go, yeah, that's fine. But now, like, if I'm confident in what I'm saying, and if I've got like knowledge or data or historic stuff to back up what I'm saying, 100% I'll back myself. But at the same time, if people disagree and there's value in that disagreement and I learn from it, 100%. But there's ways that you can deliver that doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be, brutal. It can be just a conversation. Like, people just see something on the internet and immediately go on the defense, and I'm like, just relax. Like, I'm happy to just have a conversation. We don't need to argue or immediately have such anger. Like, what's wrong?
You can disagree and still be kind.
Yeah, exactly. And just have like a conversation and just a debate and learn and grow and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I find, and I completely agree. Like, when I write things about TikTok and people disagree or give a different opinion, I'm not claiming to know absolutely everything about it. I'll learn and I'll take on what people are saying, because that's really important in order to keep going. Otherwise, you're just going to be stagnant, and where we are right now will just be where we leave, and that's it.
The greatest gift my parents ever gave me was every single night we would like basically fight each other. And what I mean by that is like my dad is so opinionated, and he's very like encouraging of like, you have your opinion. And if even when we were like 7, if we said something and he didn't agree with, he'd be like, you're wrong and here's why. And although that sounds like really aggressive, actually the environment that raised me and my brother in was fucking amazing, because it meant that we always had the confidence to give our opinions, like even when we were like 10 years old or 11 years old. And I actually think a lot of probably what I'm doing today and the success of Clout and like me feeling okay and saying stuff online, although I'm convinced I'm going to be cancelled one day, is that like there'll be some historical thing that I've said that was like, I don't know, sheep are idiots, and someone's going to be like, that's like I can just see it happening. I can see it happening in the not too distant future. But I do think that a lot of that confidence and that like self-awareness of like, I don't need to be liked everyone. I don't even like everyone. And my opinion doesn't mean it's fact. It's just my opinion and I'm entitled to it, has come from growing up in that environment.
That's so good. I also definitely think that would help, like the way you put your points across as well. Like when I see your posts on Clout, I think the way you like articulate yourself and you put across that opinion comes with such a confidence that I think is really rare and really hard to like portray and even like learn at an older age. So the fact that you've got that so young is wicked.
I don't caveat stuff.
No, I love that.
But I quite like not caveating stuff, because then people will always try and caveat it, and then that's what opens the discussion.
Yeah, but also
really important.
You're very like, what you see is what you get. So like,
yeah,
that's what I like about you, direct. I don't have to wait for you to beat around the bush to get there. You just
there's no like highs or good mornings. It's like, are you coming tomorrow?
No,
yes.
I love that. Like I turned up today and you were like, I've just had a go at my whole team, and I was like, great.
Hello.
I haven't seen you for like 6 months, but how's it going? No, I love it. Like it just doesn't waste time. Like I don't need a whole life story for you to get to the point. Like if you're annoyed about something or you don't like something, I know that you'll just say it. Likewise, if you really like something, I know you'll say it. And if you've got an opinion, I know that you're going to get to that point, and I value that, and I think a lot of people do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Blushing. So 24 now, you've just started Antler. Antler, TikTok agency, go and follow them.
I'm really
Journey,
tired.
like how is it going? Like 8 months in.
Yeah, it's nuts.
You've hired people.
Yeah, so when I met you, I don't think we'd hired anyone. Maybe we hired one person.
I don't think you had.
That's weird then, because we're up to 6 people now.
Wow. In 8 months.
In 8 months, yeah. It's crazy. It's kind of faster than Matt
and you're 24.
Yeah.
How's that go? How are you navigating being 24, employing 6 people?
Just kind of winging it, honestly. Like the thing that I learned, which was the best piece of advice I got, was every single person who's running a business or has a startup or is creating something is just kind of making it up as they go along. Nobody knows how to run a business.
YouTube.
Yeah, facts. But you do just kind of make it up and find the routine and the process that's right for you. So Matt and I came from an agency. Like we had never run anything ourselves before. We just said, okay, we'll just figure it out. Like we've got more than enough people around us, be that on LinkedIn or people that we know, that we can ask. Like I'm not going to be afraid to ask advice or thoughts, or I'm thinking of doing this. What do you think? And I think people appreciate that because, you know, we're all learning together. So, yeah, it's been a hard one to adjust to because obviously it is just a bit mental. The world of agency, as you know, is insane, but it's amazing. Like I wouldn't change it. Like we've grown to a point that I didn't think we would even be at in a year and a half, and we've done it in at that point 6 months. Like we're working with brands that I love and brands that I believe in, and we're moving in a direction that I think is really exciting for the platform and offering opportunities to brands that I don't think they would have if they didn't like trust us and things like that. Like it's just a really exciting position to be in, to be able to be like, this is what I've been working on since I was a teenager. I know this platform inside out. I want to give you an opportunity and give your brand the space on TikTok that I believe it should have. And that's kind of how we've been working, and it's a good time.
I want to dig into TikTok in a minute because like I think there's so much value that you can add, obviously, on that particular channel, and there's so many misconceptions I think that people have on that channel. Like we just hired someone from TikTok.
Did you?
It's like the coolest piece of concept. And we've just brought on a new client from TikTok too. We'll dig into that in a second. You said a minute ago, obviously, like you met Matt at Jungle Creations, which is the agency that you were at. Do you think your experience working for someone else is fundamental to your success as an agency now?
100%. like there's two CEOs of Jungle now. One of them, Mel, is who I met originally, and shit, you would love her. She is a boss. Like, there is not a woman in business who just even comes close. Like, she's amazing. And, you know, I learned so much from her. Like, I would ask her all the time, like, we called it, like, Melissa's University. Like, can you just teach me about what you're doing? You're coming up with, you know, monthlies, or you're doing stand-up, or you're doing this, that, and the other. Can you just tell me what you're doing? And, like, just talk at me. I just want to absorb what you're doing.
She's kind of a mentor.
Yeah, 100%. Like, she was amazing. And
how did that even come about? I think so many people here get a mentor, and they have no idea how to do it.
Yeah, well, so I met her, obviously, when I applied for Jungle, and we just immediately, like, me and you just got on so well. Like, we just had so much in common. But my hiring, like, me joining the company actually took like 6 months, because, you know, they weren't ready for somebody in TikTok. I wasn't quite ready. We were just we never really, like, married up, and then all of a sudden there was this opportunity and we just kind of went for it. And then, you know, I came in and I was just like, I want to learn. Like, I'm not here to just sit and do a day job and not really progress. Like, I want to learn business. Like, I think there's some people here who are so fucking smart that I can absorb so much information from. So I put in half-hour meetings with the senior leadership team, and there was like 3 or 4 of them. There was one in finance, there was one in the commercial team, there was one in, there was obviously Mel in the commerce, and then there was the chief operating officer. So I was like learning how the business worked, learning how the marketing side of things worked, finance. Like, I just wanted to understand what was going on. And then, yeah, from then, like, I just had the confidence, and like, they appreciated it as well. I think it was, like, at that point quite refreshing for people to actually, like, be a bit more proactive and ask and, like, want to learn stuff. And we, from there, like, me and Mel again just got on so well, and what she was doing as a chief content officer at that point was the exact route that I was really fascinated by. So yeah, I just asked her, like, can we just have, like, monthlies where you just kind of talk at me at what you're doing? And I think it's just having the confidence to ask. Like, a lot of people are afraid, or like, oh, I don't want to waste your time. And it's like, no, I want to learn so I can next do a better job, like, progress and be better for this company, so that I can offer more as an individual, because I know I've got it in me. I just need, like, to find it and learn. So yeah, like, mentor is amazing. And I think, you know, for the most part, people who are running a business, or even just, like, people who are higher up, or people who are experienced in a business, it's so flattering to be asked, can you mentor me? Like, and it takes, like, no time. What is it, like, an hour a month just to sit down and talk to someone?
And also, it's so rewarding.
So rewarding, right? Like, it's amazing. And a couple of the people that we hire, like, obviously the way that we're structured at the moment, we're so small that actually it does kind of act like a mentorship anyway, because we're just working on everything together. And it's so rewarding seeing, like, okay, 2 months ago, I was, like, telling you this is what we're going to do. And now they go on shoots and they come back and create amazing content. And I text Matt and I'm like, oh my God, they've flown the nest. Like, they don't need me. They are so good at just coming up with what they're creating, and because they listen and they learn. So yeah, it's so rewarding. It's amazing.
I read somewhere once that the best, like, of any job, you should either learn or earn. Doing one is good. Doing both is the best. But if you get neither, you should quit.
Whoa.
Because it's one thing. You can be paid poorly and learn a ton.
Yes.
You can get loads of value out of it. Or you can not learn that much but be earning a lot of money, and that's also valuable.
That's so true.
So in an ideal world, you have both. But if you have neither, then quit.
Wow, that's so true.
I mean, that's definitely how I've kind of applied mine. It's probably why I've had 10 jobs in 12 years almost. I'm like, am I earning? No. Am I earning? No. Move on.
That's such a good way to think about it, though.
Keep it going.
There's always value. Like, and I think the best thing that I was told when I was creating was following, or an audience equals cash. Like, in this world, an audience equals...
Attention is the currency.
Yes. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my God. And then obviously I'm going back to my dad, who's like, have you made money yet? And I'm like, no, but I've just hit 100,000 followers. And he's like, is it £100,000? And I'm like, no, but don't worry about it, because
it will be.
That is so powerful and so valuable. And I didn't even realize it at the time. And
organically as well. This one, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, we live in a world where, like, 1 million followers, like, there's quite a few people who have that, quite a few in inverted commas.
100%.
And people just go like, oh. And I'm like, do you understand how hard it is to grow organically with no paid ads, no sponsorship deals, no, like, stupid fucking competitions where you're tagging 1 million other influencers? Do you understand how difficult that is?
But easily the best part and the hardest part is the first 1,000, first 10, first 20, first
Yeah.
100,000. Like, that was a magical time. When I hit 100K, I was like, oh my, like, it's just a number that you can't even fathom when you're
Bigger
growing.
than a stadium.
Yeah, I hit 20,000 followers and after I've got the whole of O2 following me, and that's how I clocked it. And I got 40 and I was like, 2 lots of the O2. Like, if I looked at all those people, they follow, like, that is nuts. And you get to like 250, 500, 600. That's great and it's amazing, but the first 100 is really just a mind-boggling, because the novelty effectively wears off, doesn't it? You kind of get desensitized to how many people that is, and then you hit 1 million and you're like, fucking hell, that's a lot. It's quite a lot. It's a lot of people. But it was I joined at a time where the world was moving into short form and vertical, and TikTok offered something that Vine had created, and then there was a space for that. So, you know, timing's just married up, and the audience married up, and what I was creating just married up. So, you know, there is the element of timing too.
A lot of brands, I think, particularly brands and particularly senior leadership, this is a mass generalization, but, you know, bear with me, think that TikTok is for dancing teenagers and comedy. Mm-hmm. What's your argument to that?
Oh my God, the amount of times we hear that. Like, it's been around since 2014, so what's that? No, 8 years now, and Musical.ly has been around since then. It's got 1 billion people. Do you really think 1 billion people are going to be sat watching, dancing and lip syncing? Like, obviously there is that on the platform, and that is a huge element of what people create. However, there is such a wealth of stuff that you can do that people are finding value in. And I think what's really exciting is the fact that we've had coronavirus, right, which has completely sped up how TikTok was meant to grow. You know, you look back at Facebook and Instagram and even Snapchat, and you see, okay, it's taken 10 years before now it's like properly established in the world of platforms. Coronavirus meant that people knew what TikTok was, but if I said to my friend, have you seen this TikTok? I'd be like, no, that's really embarrassing. Now it's like embarrassing to have not seen a TikTok trend. The first quarter of 2020, which was lockdown, TikTok grew by 350 million downloads. The biggest downloaded platform, social platform in the world ever at that point. It was unbelievable growth. Then with that comes obviously a massive push and increase in demographics. So pre-coronavirus, you're probably looking at 13 to 16 as the main audience, which is incredibly young, but still such a powerful group of people to speak to. All of a sudden, you've got this group of maybe 16 to 20. Okay, that's fascinating, because that is a very, very interesting demographic to start reaching out to. They're the ones that listen, they're the ones that engage, they're the ones who might have some income to play with, all that sort of stuff. And then coronavirus carries on, and now we're looking at the main audience as 18 to 24, the biggest group of 18 to 35. So that, again, the most powerful demographic that you can have in the world of social. And with that comes a really steep change in maturity interest. And by that, I mean, you know, before we're probably looking at, okay, we can do like a couple of sit-ups and that's like the video, but people don't really care about gym now because of the demographic. People are interested in fitness, they're interested in nutrition, they're interested in diet, they're interested in going out, like they're interested in experiences. We've had coronavirus, so it's been such a quick turnaround that I think people aren't used to, because why would we? It's never happened before. But it's been such a quick change from lip syncing, dancing and funny videos 2 years ago to now education, informative, high value. Like, there's a girl who creates Excel tutorials and she's making 300 grand a month. Like, it's so powerful that people just
There's
need
financial advisors on there. There's
finance
cooks.
talk is huge.
Yeah, huge.
Business talk, you know, there's all this sort of element. Like, I did some freelancing for a businessman who wanted a TikTok presence, and this was mid coronavirus. So it is fascinating how people are changed. Like property talk, all of these different pockets of things that people need to learn, and now they're going to TikTok for that. And, you know, there's all sorts of stats that live around where people go to TikTok for reviews, and TikTok Made Me Buy It has like 200 billion views or something, and people are going there now as like a relatable and realistic review of product, of service, of places to go, of countries, of holidays, of, you know, all different things. So by being a brand and jumping on board that, you are getting ahead of how fast this platform's going.
I don't think it's hit the top of the hockey stick yet.
There's no way. Like, we're not even close. You know, this just brought out e-commerce, TikTok shops been around for like a year now, but only really picked up in the last 6 months. And that's mega. So people can like now buy all these things that TikTok made me buy it are talking about. You know, there's creators and they bring out 10-minute content, and I think it's fascinating. They brought out TikTok stories. Are they moving the usual short, snappy TikTok content that we're used to? Are they going to try and make it so that people put those in stories and then create longer form 10-minute content that can be monetizable, all that sort of stuff, which I think is really interesting. So it's going to be a fascinating, even just like 12 months of how that content evolves, how it moves, but it changes all the time. One of the most exciting areas that I think is up and coming is like the alcohol industry. Obviously, a bit of a grey area, but it's not you know, a complete no. It's just a bit of a grey one, just on legalities across the board. But 2 years ago, you have creators who are 13. Obviously, they're not going to care about a cocktail that you can use a certain vodka in, or like how you can create. I probably did when I was 13. But it wouldn't be like Absolute Vodka creating a brand presence on there because it's not the right audience. However, now, oh my God, there's no one doing it. I think there's one account that's run by a magazine publisher, and it's literally at cocktails. They've got 1.2 million followers, and all they do is just post cocktail content. Perfect content for the demographic. People are younger, they're drinking, the interest maturity is going into alcohol. How can I have like nice alcohol, not just to get absolutely white girl wasted, like all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think the way that it's moving is just like, and when people ask me, oh, I'm not sure if I have to be on TikTok, and it's like, just because it's not on there doesn't mean you shouldn't be. Like, it just means that it's not got there yet. Recruitment was one of those things. When we started, we did our first campaign was a recruitment campaign. I'd never seen people apply for jobs on there before. Obviously it makes so much sense. You've got entry-level people who are coming out of uni, college, looking for jobs. You can target them in a way that they really relate to, and target yourself in a way that really like speaks to them. Like, the opportunity is endless. And now I'm seeing stuff like that quite a fair bit, and we're doing a good couple of recruitment campaigns for brands on TikTok. So,
and what better way to reach that audience than in their pocket, basically?
Exactly. And if they can apply in a way that,
because a lot of them aren't on LinkedIn yet.
Yeah.
Or they are, but they're not active.
No, and it's like 40% of people on TikTok aren't duplicate. Like, they don't live on other platforms. So you can't access these people on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat because they're not on there.
40%, wow.
Yeah, huge figure. But like, think how powerful that is.
Of a billion people.
Yeah, that's 400 million people, something like that. It's unbelievable. So like, to be able to target them, you're just accessing such a wealth of like a pool of talent, or anything, like a pool of conversions or sales or whatever, just because you're not able to access them anywhere else because they're only on that platform. So I think, yeah, you're right. Like, we've not even hit the peak of it yet. Like, I thought we hit the peak of it 2 years ago, and then coronavirus happened, and now it's where it is. Like, it's insane.
I love what you said there about the recruitment marketing stuff, because actually our biggest, so as an agency, Clout, like, we've got our Clout channels, and I've obviously got my channel and stuff as well. But Clout's biggest performing post ever was a hiring post. We got like 379,000 views on it or something. And we actually hired someone off the back of it. And it was interesting, actually, because I kind of look at like branding and personal branding generally, like retargeting, like, you know, you put something in your cart on Amazon, and then it retargets, and then you go, oh, I'm not going to pay for that, it's like 200 quid or whatever, yeah. And then it retargets you for the next like 14 days. I really think that's what social media is like someone sees one piece of content from you, and then they're like, meh, and keep going, and then they see another piece of content from you, and then they're like, keep going. Exactly. And then like if they're constantly being exposed to content from you, and they're the right audience, and you're saying something that resonates with them, eventually they're going to turn into either a buyer, 100%. Customer, follower, application, whatever. And that's exactly what happened with Brittany, who just joined us. She saw one post from me on TikTok and was like, oh, I would love to work for that person. Applied, got rejected. And then a couple of months later saw another post from our Clout account and was like, fuck it, I'm going to apply again. And this time got through, interviewed her, loved her, hired her. So had we not both, myself as a personal brand and the founder of the business, and Clout as a brand itself, both been really active on TikTok, we would not have hired Brittany, who is a fucking amazing person. I'm super, super chuffed to have her on board. We wouldn't have found her. And like, literally, we managed to hire her with zero ad spend whatsoever. I haven't spent a penny on recruiters. Inbound DM. I saw your TikTok. That. Can I join you? Kind of thing.
Shout out Brittany.
Shout out Brit. So, okay, we've kind of convinced brands, hypothetically, they need to be on there. where the fuck do you even start? Like, what should you be talking about? Say you're like let's talk about what's an industry that's like really fucking boring. Recruitment. Recruitment agent, and I'm allowed to say this, I was a recruiter, don't hate me. If you're a recruitment agency or you're like a service-based business of any kind, where do you start with TikTok?
Yeah, so that literally is one of the things we've just bought on. So we're doing another recruitment campaign. We did this for Buzzworks. It was our first ever campaign. Matt and I were like, I don't know what we're doing, just gonna figure it out.
There's a running theme, I feel like, with every single person I've had on this couch. And I'm like, where did you start? And they're like, here. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm here. I'm like, how did you get there? They're like, wang it. Like, wing it. Just winged it.
But it's true. Like, nobody knows what they're doing. And when I learned that, I was like, fuck, that makes so much sense because I don't have to worry.
We're all just operating on like really inefficient pieces of data that don't really say anything and trying to make the best decisions we possibly can. And YouTube.
No, it's so true. Like you just kind of muddle through and you make decisions and you see where it takes you. So
and the difference is though that you make the decision and you move forward, which is I think is what stops a lot of people from moving forward, is like the inability to go actually yes, like you only need to. There's a really fucking amazing quote and it bears in my mind all the time from Barack Obama. Someone said, how are you like the head of the free world and have access to literally start World War III at any given time, and you know that any decision that you make could be that detonator? How do you make decisions with that much pressure? And he said, I only have to be 51% sure. So just have to be 51% sure that that's the right decision, because if you worry about the other 49%, you will never make a decision. Therefore, you can never move forward. And that has always played in my brain. If I ever have to make like a hard decision about someone, like hiring, firing a client, does that campaign go out? Does it not? Like whatever. Like, do we sign this 100 grand office that we've just signed? Really scary. I only have to be 51% sure, and then I'll just worry about the rest.
But also just figure it out as it comes. Like, you can't. And this is something that I had to learn like a hard way, was the more you worry about everything that could happen, it's never going to happen though. Like it could never happen. And you're right, you can manifest it. It will happen. Like it will come through. And if it does, great. You just make another decision to move past that block, and then you just do it again. I couldn't. Every time I start panicking, I'm like, as long as nobody dies, what is the worst that can happen? Literally, that is
everyone laughs like in clout, because like they'll be all panicking. Like today's a really good example of that, right? As you jokingly, as you walked in, you're like, I've just been bollocking my team. I wasn't really bollocking them. I was just there was something that went out that I wasn't happy with, and I spoke to them about it. And then after I'd spoke to them about it and given them the hard feedback that I invariably do all the time, I basically said, but at the end of the day, guys, this is content. It's not life or death. Like, we've learned from this. Let's move on.
100%. And I had the same thing. Like Amy, one of our my creative at Antler, we gave her a really big opportunity where we were like, okay, we've brought in a new client. You're going to lead it. And she was maybe like 3 weeks in. We were just like, fuck it. We're just throwing it at the deep end. Like,
why not?
Why not? Like, I'm here. Like, you're not by yourself, but I want you to make the decisions and see what you can do. And, you know, if I don't agree with something, or if Matt is, you know, we're worried, we can step in and we can go, okay, how about this? So we just gave her that opportunity. And the first day that something had to go out, like, she completely panicked. Like, she was like, I can't get my head in it. I'm stressed. Then it got to like 5 o'clock. The post was due out at 5:30. It hadn't even been sent to the client or approved. And I was like, okay, like, leave it with me, send me the stuff, I'll make the video. Sent it, went posted, and then I FaceTimed her, and she had been crying, bless her, and I was like, tell me what's wrong. And she was like, I'm so stressed because I want to do a good job. And I was like, Amy, I'm giving you a hard time because like that's how you learn. If you don't have bad days, how are you ever going to have a good day? And then with that, she's like been able to have that sense of perspective of, okay, I need to get this video done, but at the same time, if the video doesn't go live, we're not going to die. Like, yes, it's a bit shit for the client. Yes, it doesn't look great. However, we can make up for it. We can post it the next day. We can over-deliver this week. Like, there's things that we can do to make it better. So I was like, look, and I'm giving you a hard time. However, don't stress about it. You've still got a job. It's going to be fine.
I love that attitude. So 2 of our values at Clout is care deeply, challenge directly. That's our first value, and it's all about feedback. So if you see something and it's not right, talk about it, but talk about it challenge someone and give feedback in a way that you care, because you want them to improve, not because you think you're right and there's some like ridiculous hierarchy. That's not how we operate. It's a very flat structure at Clout. But then the second, it's actually our third value, but for the point of this, the point I'm trying to make is win or learn. Like, failure is an option at Clout, and actually we fuck up all the time. Like, I fuck up all the time, like daily almost, right? But if you're not making those missteps and you're not making those small little mistakes and stuff, like how the fuck are you meant to get the big stuff right?
100%.
Because it's the small stuff that actually helps you make the big decisions the right decisions. And actually, I'd much rather you fucked up, like, I don't know, a post that went out with a client than fucked up with the way that you spoke to the client.
That's so true.
Do you know what I mean? That stuff matters. Has it got a typo in it? Yeah, that's a bit annoying, but we can fix that,
Exactly.
right?
It's not the end of the world.
And actually, really good point on this. I saw a post, like Stephen Bartlett, like has one of the biggest personal brands in the world, right? We can all agree with that, or at least in our world, he does. He posted something the other day and had a massive typo and it was a TikTok and it had a massive typo in the thing. Did anyone fucking care?
No, no one gives a shit.
Because it was the message that mattered, not whether the fucking execution was perfect.
It just doesn't matter. Like, he and his team might look at that and be like, oh, that looks really bad. But it's because you have like a sense of perfection. Yeah. Like, when it's your piece of content, you are going to be pernickety because you want to create something that you're really proud of. If you put it and it doesn't have an apostrophe, realistically, like, no one's going to pick up on that because people are consuming stuff at such a quick rate. Nobody cares.
And if they do, like I did, they've forgotten about it. Well, I didn't, but like,
you're not going to go to the grave and be like, I remember that one time I saw a post and
the only reason I remember it is to make this point is about, like, done well is better than perfect.
Exactly. It
doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, cool. So TikTok brands, like,
yes.
Where do we start? We've spoken about that. What are some of the things that they should be sharing? Because I have a bit of a strategy, I guess, with personal branding generally. And it's document and create. Because I know a lot of people go document, but like people don't really understand what the fuck that means. What I mean by document is like talk about your life, share your experiences, talk about the fact that we're doing this podcast today. Like, I should have been TikToking this today, but whatever, etc. But also like share value, which is all about creation, right? Like, how do you build your personal brand? Here's how to grow on TikTok, like all that kind of stuff. And I feel like any kind of strategy should have a decent amount of both, because it's the value that you bring is why people will come to you, but it's the personality that will make people stay. So what are some ideas of what you've been working on with clients, or creatives that you think people should be posting on TikTok if they're trying to attract, say, applications from someone, or they're trying to attract clients for their service of their business? I
think one thing that really stood out to me in the early stages when we started working with a client who was a really big name, and obviously like they had a 3-month campaign, for example, and they were like, what can we do? And Matt and I, again, this is maybe week 3, so we were really early. We just came up with a full strategy, like above their budget. Like, we said, if you really want to make a splash, this is what we propose. And we went into that pitch, and I have never been so proud of something in my life. But in that pitch, they were like, we want to create a trend. And I was suggesting jumping on a trend, or jumping on a way that people create content, like a transition. And they were like, we want to create a trend. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would you try so hard to stand out with such an element of potential failure when you've got a thing you want to create? And like, so there's a pool of people over here who are all communicating and creating content in this way that they are loving to consume right now, and you want to sit over here and create something that nobody really understands, because that's not how they communicate. Like, the whole point of the trends and everything like that is they're organic, they just come together. And the reason that there's some brands such as Ryanair, Duolingo, the people that everyone always talks about, the reason they're doing so well is because they sit in this circle and they just create content like a user would. So we said, don't try and sit over here for a 3-month campaign. That's a 12-month campaign. Sit over here and get involved. And then at the end of our campaign, we had 4 billion views. They had 280,000 UGC. Like, by just getting involved in what's going on and not trying so hard to stand out straight away, you are going to have a miles better chance to set up that platform, I guess, to stand out in the long run. So the first thing that we always do and that we suggest, especially in like recruitment campaigns as well, is what are other people doing? So for example, if I've got a bubble tea joint, for example, so random. Okay, what's the conversation on bubble tea? What's the most popular videos? Are there creators that are doing it? How are people talking about it? What do they want from it? How are they talking about it in the comments? Like, dissect every single piece of that you can. Hashtag bubble tea. How many views has it got? Okay, it might have 4 billion views. Okay, what are the smaller ones? How are people communicating on those? All of that sort of stuff. And then you look at like the people who are consuming that content. So the people that are commenting, what are they saying? Are they happy with it? Are they, replying? Are they engaging in a way that we would expect? All that sort of stuff. And then you come up with, what do we want out of this? So the first thing we always ask clients is, what do you want out of TikTok? What's the purpose?
What does success look like to you?
Yeah.
It's the number one question we ask.
Yeah.
But before we do anything.
Because like, I might see success as 100,000 views. You might see success as 100,000 clicks through to a website. Like, that's a different strategy. So we need to understand, okay, what do we want from it? And if that's, say, for example, 1,000 applications for a job, perfect. We can come up with that. Who's the audience that we want from that? Okay, it's entry level, 18 to 24. Perfect. We know how they communicate. We know that that's what they're on TikTok. So it's the perfect platform for that. And then it's about putting your spin on a way that people would communicate. to apply. So we did a whole campaign at the start with a company called Buzzworks, via Mark McCulloch, who's one of the best like hospitality marketers ever. He's amazing, and he's such a good friend of ours. But he bought us Buzzworks before we'd even registered the company, and we were just tasked with making this recruitment drive. Like, it was a family-run chain. Like, they're up in Scotland. They had one last shot to get people in after coronavirus. If they don't get people to apply and they don't have people with the jobs, the chains have to close. They close venues forever. They lose revenue. The business fails. So it's like a big catastrophic knock-on effect. So we just said, okay, this is kind of what the world are looking at. Here's some top Scottish creators. We worked with Stephen McKell, who's got like 3.2 million. He's amazing. We looked at what he's creating. So he had a format at the time, which was, if your friend is blah, 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 send this to them. So, for example, one of them was, if you've got a friend that's using your Netflix for free, send this to them. And then he just goes on like a hilarious rant about like slating them. And then the point is you share it with your friend.
Which shares really matter.
They're one of the most powerful points for the algorithm on TikTok.
I always say with social media, and it generally works across all social media in this way, but like a view is worth $1, a like is worth 5, a comment is worth 10, and a share is worth 50.
Yeah.
So the more shares you can get, the more money you've got in your bank.
Of course, because it lives on that person's world and their phone.
And also it's almost like that user being like, I'm adopting this idea as my own so much that I'm going to give it to someone else.
It's the ultimate like attraction to a video. Like, if I like it, I can like nonchalantly think about that and double tap, and then I'll never think about it again. If I've shared it, I'm going through a lot of actions to make sure people are seeing it. So we were coming up with that. I spoke to Stephen. I was like, I've got this idea that I want you to work on with Buzzworks, and it was, if your friend's always broke, send this to them. And he created this whole video where he used like green screen effects. We didn't script anything. It was like, that's the concept, you build something, but here's the USPs you need to mention. And he drove a 38% conversion rate. Like, we had 500 applications that the client would have been happy with, and we drove 850. So by the end of it, like, utilizing creators in a way that resonates with their audience is authentic to the platform, which is so cliche, but it's so true. And then applying what you need and getting that point across in a really succinct and quick way is so important. There's no point creating a 3-minute video for a recruitment thing. No one's going to watch it. 7 seconds still is the sweet spot. So 7 to 20 seconds is really where you need to be. And if you think about it, you're scrolling on TikTok and you're looking at something. I'm going to make a decision if I'm going to watch that whole video maybe within 2 seconds. So if you can make sure that you're capturing them as quickly as possible in whatever that might look like, visual, audio, captions, like all of that sort of stuff, then you're on to a winner, because by the time they've watched 5 seconds, they've only got 2 left. And then the watch time goes up, and then the algorithm likes it, and it pushes it even further.
And quite often you have to watch it again.
Yeah, exactly. You put hide something and be like, oh my God, did you see that at 7 seconds? And people are watching to try and find it, all that sort of stuff. So it's a fascinating one.
Best performing post that you've done for a client, and why?
Oh my God, so we have... So we had one of our clients at the moment is Sides, which is the Sidemen, the YouTubers. They're like fried chicken brand. I've wanted to work with the Sidemen for years. Like, back when I was at Jungle doing like freelancing out and about, I was like, I just really love them. I think there's such an opportunity for them. Anyway, so I proactively reached out to Jordan, who's their manager and co-founder of Arcade Media, and I was like, love what you're doing. I really think you're missing a trick. So we had a call, bought on Sides, and I just wholeheartedly believed in that strategy. Like, I knew how the boys interacted. I wanted to get across that personality, but it needed to be about the food, not about them. And we created a strategy. It was like a Thursday afternoon for the following weekend for Easter, where I was like, your audience is so widespread that you can get them any way you want. Like, the way that they interact and how engaged they are as a group of people is fascinating. So why don't we give something back and encourage them to follow? So we created an Easter egg hunt over Easter. The Sidemen brought out an Easter, like Sidemen Easter egg. And then we created videos where we hid these Easter eggs around London and attached like a little Sides envelope with a prize. And there was 3 different prizes. And off the back of that, those 3 got like almost 1 million views between them. And it was amazing because it was completely organic. We didn't post any, like, no paid. It was just, how can we get people excited without just shouting like, follow us? You know, how can we get people to come offline and come up with and do things that we're asking them to do, like such a high ask? But then after that, they had a location drop for Sides. So we created another video, and it was a great video. Like, our editor Lucy is amazing. She made this awesome video that was so engaging about all these different locations. But what people have been doing the whole time anyway is going, come to Manchester, come to Leeds. So we took those comments and then put them in the video so that people could see their own little faces in it. And that video got like 500k organic, but had like 6,000 comments of people being like, come here, come here, come here. So like encouraging that like behavior and making people like even more inclined to do it is fascinating. And, you know, we started them just about 2 months ago. They had 40k followers when we started, and now they're closing in on 65. So just like an organic 25k growth in 2 months, which for a brand that
is
over
50%.
Yeah, but for a startup,
wild.
In 2 months is insane. Like regardless of who's behind it, it's still a, you know, startup eatery, I guess. So yeah, it's fascinating. But that's definitely the one that like I'm most excited about, just because I like just believe in that group anyway. And I just, I think we can offer like their audience just is Gen Z. So by able to create content that I know that they care about, but also that resonates with the boys and the brand in general, you're kind of getting a bit of a supernova in the middle.
What are your top 3 to 5 tips for a brand or a person who wants to get started with TikTok? Like, what are the 5 basics?
So, number 1, big one, community management. Do not underestimate how important it is to sit on that platform. Like, we talk about it all the time, and I tell people all the time, like, are you sat on your account and are you engaging with stuff? And they're like, no, I just post and then I disappear. Why are you doing that? Like, the algorithm needs to see you engaging as a user. Like, if you're going on, commenting, trying to be a top comment, like, you're going to be so much more relevant than if you just post and disappear. So community management is so important. Like,
even the huge creators do that. Like, you think
so
about people
important.
like Stephen Bartlett, you know, Gary Vee, and obviously I'm talking about people who aren't quote unquote creators, they're business people who are utilizing these platforms. Even they have people, obviously employed, it's not them, or agencies on their behalf managing their communities, liking comments, replying, picking out the best ones, making videos out of those.
It's so important, and a lot of people underestimate it because they're like, it's time consuming, and I'm like,
I gained like 50 followers on TikTok the other day from one comment I left on someone else's post.
There you go.
And literally, like, there was this incredible video, and it was like these 2 kids, and it's a long story short, I'm sure everyone saw it. These 2 kids were shoveling snow on someone's driveway, and they were like, oh, we're shoveling snow for $20, and the woman was like, oh yeah, here's the 20 now, but we've got to go out for an hour, so like when we come back, like, you know, just do it while we're gone. And as she closed the door and gave them the $20, they were just like, oh my god, she's paid us up front, we're gonna be rich. And he's like, oh, because she's paid us up front, we have to do a really good job. And it was just the cutest little video. And I left a comment underneath that said, these kids are going places, and it got like 400 likes, and then I gained like 50 followers literally off the back of that comment.
Exactly. Like that in itself is so powerful. And we always try to find videos that have been posted recently. So we'll look on the comments. Has it been posted a day ago, a few hours ago, a week ago?
Important. Being
as fast as you can to always try and be a top comment. So Amy, again, our creative, is like community management queen. Like, she just has the language and the way that people communicate on TikTok down to a T. And, you know, she's commenting stuff that gets like 80,000 likes. Like, it's insane. But that knock-on effect is massive. And, you know, that client in the end of our campaign went from getting 2,000 views organically to 20,000 views organically off the back of, you know, that effort.
Comments.
Yeah. So that's number 1. Number 2 is get involved in the trends. It's not cheapening the brand. It's not irrelevant. Like, it's so important to use the sounds, use the challenges. What are people doing? Like, are there people in, you know, again, bubble tea, there's what's going on in the food industry or the drinks industry? Are they all creating content in one particular style to one particular sound right now? Do it. Post it now. Like, you have to be quick. You can't have a really long approval process. I can't see a trend, make the video today and it get approved in a week and a half's time. I need to post it now.
That's a big thing that a lot of people miss, and it's certainly a challenge in my agency, because obviously we're running personal brands for people. Is like the reactiveness. Like, if something came out today, we have to talk about it today, ideally within the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless you respond to us with what your thoughts and opinions are on that thing, you've missed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone else would have got there first. We actually, a really good example of this is we had a client that we manage who runs a Tech for Good company. And she talks a lot about diversity, inclusion, equity, you know, bullying, harassment, etc., because that's what her product helps tackle. And it was when the Mayor of London brought out this campaign about, I I think it was about upskirting, or it's going to make me sound so bad now because I can't even remember what it was, but they brought out this video, right? And it had just landed within like minutes of it coming out. Gemma said, hey, like, we need to talk about this. And I was like, cool, right, boom. And then it was on LinkedIn within probably 7 minutes, I reckon. We were the first person on LinkedIn to share that particular thing, and it blew up. She got like 10,000 likes, 5,000 comments, millions and millions and millions of views. But simply because, like, yes, her opinion was really valid, and actually it was a great post. But the real kind of crux of that was it was speed. Because it was, speed.
For sure. And that's something that we line out as an expectation even before we've signed, like, introduction call. I'm like, if you can't sit and look me in the eye now and tell me that we're going to be able to get turnaround on the day, there's just no point. Like, it's just not going to happen, because we set up WhatsApp chats, we send the video, we go, can you approve this? Then clients in theory just go yeah or no, or can you just change this? We change it, it goes out that afternoon. Like, that is so vital. You know, I think, like you say, like, it goes without saying, across the board speed is so important, but for TikTok, because the trends are the USP of the platform, just jumping on that is mad. And, you know, using it to your advantage. Like, a lot of people see a hashtag challenge, say for example vegan chef, or vegan month, I don't know, things like that. How can you make that work for you? You don't have to sit in the confines of what that challenge is asking. You can tweak it to make it make sense. So you know, if we're talking back in like my creator days, vegan month, I would then create a face painting of something vegan. And, you know, Greg's sausage rolls, I remember, came out, and I did like a little man, like Greg chef with a vegan sausage roll, things like that, and used like vegan month. Like, it's being smart with the content that you create, not having to create something completely different, but creating things that make sense for your audience, but also you exploit, I guess, challenges to your advantage. So that's a really big one. Another thing is competitors. Don't shy away from them. Look at them. Like, get inspired. Like,
I mean, I have to say, like, also looking at like Aldi, like Duolingo,
they're amazing.
Like, they troll all their competitors,
yes,
and it's a big part of their brand now.
Yes,
and it's the reason why we love them.
Exactly. And people are like, I want to be like Ryanair, but also here's my guidelines. And I'm like,
fuck your guidelines.
Yes, thank you.
Fuck
because
your guidelines.
I'm like, do you think the social media manager of Duolingo has sat down and read through 50 pages of
they literally ordered a costume and then went and harassed
and
Duolingo.
She went, I'm going to go and piss off like all of the other people and just troll all of the people who, you know, the main thing that people think about Duolingo is the notification that says you haven't done French in like 6 days or whatever. They used that. Like, they downloaded the app with 0 followers, and they've grown a presence by having personality. So
humanizing a brand.
Yes, and treating it like a user. Like, that's why we're saying community management and learning the TikTok language, as we call it, and learning the way that people communicate has to come through as a brand. And that's what Sides have done really well, is they've got this character called admin, and like, admin is the person who runs all their channels. So we've adopted the phrase, like, we are admin on TikTok, but we talk to people in a way that people do on TikTok. You know, these creators are saying mid, cap, POV, like all this sort of stuff. You know, KSI's phrase is AO. So we write that. Like, utilizing what people are saying is so important.
It's mirroring the audience that you want to attract.
Yes, because people then will find that funny. And that's why Innocent Smoothie, again, another example of a brand that's done really well, because they're humanizing it. They talk about the social media manager and they're like, I'm so going to get fired for this. And then it's about their job, and that's why people like it, because it's just different and it's honest. And then, you know, another brand is fantastic at the moment is Joe and the Juice, and I'm obsessed with them. And I think they are so, so, so good, where they've taken, okay, we're a juice branch. What can we do with that? Then they create trends and videos to these trends that aren't about the juices. It's about the environment and about the people that work there and about them.
It's brand.
Yes.
I mean, no one goes to fucking Joe and the Juice because the juice is amazing. Let's be real. Like, you can get the same tasting juice anywhere.
But
you go to Joe and the Juice because it's Joe and the Juice.
Exactly. So yeah, it's fascinating the way that people use it, and like, you know, it's a very obvious 2-step thing. How are people engaging and talking? Do it. That's kind of it. So yeah, then we got like competitors and like what people are doing. So, you know, look at what people are doing. What are your competitors doing that is working, that you really like? What is not working? What don't you like? Do that. Like, take inspiration. People are doing well for a reason. Don't try and be like, well, they're doing well, so I can't do it. No, there's plenty of room. Like, just do something a little bit different. Make it yours. research, like spend time. Just if you're not posting or creating a video all the time, that's not necessary. It's like you say, document and whatever, you know, have the time to create and post that video, and that's great, but research it, look into it. What are you creating? What are you trying to get out of that video? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, I spent, I think, 6 months just looking at TikTok. Like, I didn't post anything for 6 months. I just wanted to learn, like,
how much did you absorb from that?
Yeah, and now I'm at, I mean, it's not very much compared to you anyway, but 14.7 thousand views in a couple of months. That's just sick. Purely, and I'm really inconsistent. I know I say all the time, like, I'm very consistent. I'm really inconsistent, but mainly because I've got fucking lots of stuff to do. And it's not because there's a lack of content. I have the content. It's just posting. Oh, God, I smack myself in the face. The first thing I'm going to do when I leave here is, like, post a TikTok. But if I know if I was more consistent, I would have been at 100K already. Yeah. But it's simply because I wanted to learn how it was different. Because I love how you said the TikTok language, because I look at social media like different languages. If LinkedIn is French, Twitter is German, TikTok is Japanese, Instagram is, you know, whatever, Swedish.
Yeah.
Like, you can't go to every single platform and be like, hello, because they're not going to understand you. You have to say hello, you know, bonjour, like whatever. And learning actually how to articulate the message is still the same, but learning how to articulate the message in the way that the platform understands is a really, really important thing. Because I think a lot of people think they can just schedule a bunch of content on Hootsuite, post it, and it lands on every single platform. Isn't that...
It makes me so mad.
The crazy thing is, you can actually share the exact same piece of content, but just in a different context, and it will land. That's the thing that drives me completely insane. You could write a microblog on LinkedIn, record it, as a rant on TikTok, use that TikTok as a reel, and then turn that rant into a thread for Twitter. You're still saying the same thing, but you're just making it contextualized to the platform which it's on.
100%. But that was my third point was, well, the next point, can't remember how many points I'm at now, but consistency. Even if we say as a minimum 3 posts a week, there is this whole like misconception that you have to post like 10 a day. And I'm like, fucking hell, that's a lot of content. Like, you're going to run out of ideas quickly, you suffocate your page, you flood it, and there's no chance of any potential video to blow up. You can do that. Like, I used to post 3 videos a day, and that's completely fine. But in theory, you can still have amazing growth off of 3 a week. If you stick to a schedule, even if it's 1 a week, like Jenna Marbles, great example of somebody who posted 1 video every week on YouTube for like 15 years or whatever. And she was one of the biggest American YouTubers ever. So to be able to be consistent and reliable and stick to that schedule, you're already 10% further on than anybody else, because you're being strict, you're being disciplined, you're going, I'm going to post 3 times a week. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week. And then people know that that's what you're going to expect. And that's great.
I love that. Should you be using your TikToks as YouTube shorts?
Yes.
Why?
I always say you can get value from redistributing content from TikTok onto other platforms, but not the other way around, because everyone knows context. Yeah, but everyone knows what TikToks, like what to expect from them. Like, I see TikToks all over my Twitter feed. Majority of my Twitter just is my TikTok now, so you can repost it and it still resonates. However, if you're posting, like you say, a YouTube short and it's made for that, it's got a watermark, it's got royalty-free music or whatever that might look like, you can't repost that on TikTok because it's not how people. It just doesn't work. But that's how Reels got big, right? Was people reposted TikToks onto Reels. And now Reels have gone, absolutely not. If you see a watermark, a TikTok
watermark. That's why we all use TikTok Save or Tick Save or whatever
it's called. Yeah. Snaptick. Snaptick's the one. But if they see the watermark, you're immediately, it's gone. It's taken down. You can't have it. So that's how that got big. And if YouTube Shorts is coming up, which it is, by reposting it was just kind of like fast tracking. And then you learn from that, okay, I've kind of got a cheat way to get content up. How can I, again, learn that context? Because the context doesn't exist. YouTube Shorts is so fresh that it doesn't exist yet. Nobody's using it in a way that they're using Reels or TikTok or Twitter. Like, it's just so fresh that it's just going to blossom into something
And
eventually.
I know the algorithm's pushing it, because if you go and look at the big creators on YouTube, their top videos at the minute are all shorts.
Really? That's really interesting.
We're doing a bit of research in a minute, because we're going to go live on YouTube soon. Like, I want to get all the podcast stuff on there, so we're like, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like observing, like learning, seeing what's happened. So hashtags. Final question: relevant or not?
I think they used to be more relevant before, not so much anymore. Now, sounds and trends, which is, to be honest, all around sound is the most important thing. Hashtags are fantastic, and I just don't think they hinder either way. Like, there are trending hashtags. There's obviously like it's a huge marketing tool now. So a lot of brands and businesses pay for that space, and that's great. It's a good way to get noticed. It's a good way to get involved in a community of stuff, but it certainly used to be a bigger entity of TikTok back into there than it is now. Now it's all about the sound.
So explain trending audio to someone that doesn't understand it.
So trending audio can be anything from chart music. So think back to lockdown 1, we're all sat, everyone's just discovered this world of TikTok, and I'm a Savage comes out, and all you hear is I'm a savage, and it's that. But then there's a video and somebody remixes it and creates one about Carole Baskin because that was trending at the time. Those then become massive sound bites that everyone on the platform is using. So whether it's a trending sound or a sound bite, so that can be anything from something like that, a remix, it can be clips from videos. So a massive one that came out a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago was from Inventing Anna, where she's like, I do not have time for you.
I do not have time for you.
But that trended and everyone made videos out of that. But also people create videos that go viral. Another one is I'm just a baby. My favorite. But it's just
Mommy tells you something, Coco.
You gotta say no. You gotta say okay, mommy. I'm just a baby.
It's so great. I love that we're talking about this because actually, like, side note, my entire agency communicates in TikTok trends. So like, I mean, you are a TikTok agency, so slightly more relevant. But like, we'll be in a meeting and someone will be like, how long is this going to take? It's amazing. We should do a TikTok on like the way we communicate in the office being TikTok.
When your office is too TikTok savvy, that's the one.
But I think it's also really interesting. It's a huge opportunity for me anyway. I'm seeing anyway. At some point, this is my thought process, the bigger my channel gets, the bigger my audience gets, etc., the more listeners I get on the podcast. At some point, there's going to be a soundbite that either me or one of my guests says that then will be used. Like a great example of this is you see a lot of Jordan Peterson stuff flowing around. You see a lot of Gary Vee stuff flowing around. You see a lot of Michaela Peterson stuff flowing around, where they've said something about a particular topic that's really poignant, really to the point, really interesting and really motivational or inspiring or triggering, and people have taken that sound and then just run with it.
Yeah, and they take it out of context and make the context whatever they want it to be. So there's 2 examples of that. The first one is Max Fosh, obviously a YouTuber, created a video where he went and interviewed loads of people. He interviewed this really posh girl, and he's going, oh, you've got a slice of pomegranate. And he's like...
It's not pomegranate, is though, darling.
There you go. And then people are...
I don't know, my fruit.
Yeah, people are quoting on the screen. And we did one for Honest Burgers, who's another one of our client, where we were like, oh, it's another meat burger. And then it's like, it's not another meat burger, have another guess. And then it's a plant-based burger, and then that sort of stuff. But then there's another version of that where it's this interview. Oh my God, I forget her name. I feel like she plays like iCarly, but I could not tell you her name. Again, I only know her from TikTok.
Oh yeah. And what's your favorite curse word?
Yeah, belly fuck. And then it becomes a whole dance, and people are creating this out of context trend organically because it's funny. So
I get another really good example would be Julia Fox.
Oh my God, yeah.
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems. Again, we've got a diamond brand. We use that sound.
Love that.
For the uncut gems of the diamonds. So
Love that.
There's just ways that you make it make sense. So yeah, that's sound bites. You know, as a business, obviously if you have a business account, you have less access to chart music, but that doesn't hinder you. Like, actually, the majority of TikTok now is even like Louis through and my money done jiggle jiggle. You can still use
I love it,
that.
by the way, when that sound hit American TikTok. I was like, so good. I cannot wait.
It's so good because they'll just be like, what in the fuck?
They think it's like an actual song. I'm so sorry if I offended anyone that's American listening
it's
to this.
A great song, though. I won't have you say
good.
Otherwise. Louis through.
In a 6'2" in a compact.
No slack.
No slack, yeah.
Rare. It's so good. So yeah,
it's
there's
great.
So much you can do.
This is, by the way, a massive insight into like how an agency brain works. It's like we literally have just communicated in TikToks for the last 5 minutes, which is why you should be on TikTok if you're a brand, because you will understand what we're talking about and be able to leverage these trends for your business.
Yeah, exactly. Like we'll be, even just then, we probably didn't make any sense, but
to each other, we understood each other. Yeah.
But then take that in a brand sense, like me, Amy, Amber, Lucy, all of us sit together and we have this exact conversation. Then we go, oh, we could use that for blah, blah, blah. And then we come up with a video. So for example, after this, we're heading to a restaurant to create some content. We've got some sounds that we're going to sit together and go, okay, this is the concept for that sound, how we can make it work and how we can change the context to make it work for that exact video.
So how does it work as an agency for anyone listening to this? Like how does your TikTok agency come in and create content for a brand? Because I feel like a lot of businesses are worried about, number one, giving that to a third party, but number two, how do you get that content from the client to then create the videos?
So There's a few different ways. The main thing we like to do is kind of become an extension. I think people do hear the word agency and kind of be like, ooh. Like I do sometimes, especially when I started, I kind of felt like the paparazzi of the world where everyone's just kind of like, oh, no, I'm not sure about that. But we're like, no, we want to come in and do a good job for you. You know, you're spread thin. You don't have the expertise in-house. We can just come in and just blow it up and make it a start for you. Even if you take it back in 3 months' time, that's fine. You've got a strategy that you can follow. So we come in as an extension. We work really closely with whoever that might be, whether that's the founders, the social media team, whatever. We come up with a strategy. We talk about it in the kickoff call. And then, yeah, we just go, okay, this is the shoots we need to do. We come on the shoot. We create that content. We then go away, edit it, send it to you for approval, yes or no. That can be as much as it is. Or you can be really involved in it, come on the shoots, help us with like creating the content. It's entirely up to the person or the brand. We're open because, you know, we want to work with you, not against you. And then, yeah, we take over the burden of TikTok because, like we've said, it is a long time on the platform. You've got to commit. You've got to be consistent. And if you're a social media manager, you're trying to run Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, everything.
Which, by the way, shout out to all the social media managers out there. It's
big
the hardest
fucking
job in the
shout.
world.
It is so hard and so underrated. I think only now, with the world of LinkedIn and especially TikTok as well, people are now going like, fucking hell, you've got a hard job because it's hard. So we just take that one off you. Don't worry about it. Like, we'll run that. You know, we can run it alongside you. We can teach you effectively like what we're doing. We then deal with community management. We post. We research, we find all the formats, we come up with like a whole content strategy. We never do a content calendar because, like you said, TikTok is fast paced. You cannot plan a month ahead because what are you planning for? You don't know what's coming out. We literally tend to do our content calendars a week in advance. We come up with a rough schedule, you know, okay, Easter's coming up, we've got Jubilee weekend, like those will definitely trend, so we can post about that. However, we cannot tell you what's coming up in a month's time because it doesn't exist. So yeah, and then we come up with a WhatsApp chat. We just blast ideas back and forth. They jump in. They're like, okay, we've got this coming up. Honest Burger, another great example. Oh, we've got Honest Farming coming up. Can you come to the farm? We spent a whole day at a farm on a shoot. And then we chat to the social media manager who's got his overall vision, or we put our vision. We come together and create something great. So yeah, it's just becoming an extension and not seeing us as like an outsider. I think that's where a lot of people struggle. And I get it because, like you say, it's a scary thing to have a third party like, I know my brand, you're going to come in and tell me what to do. But actually an outside perspective can sometimes be really powerful. So, yeah.
What do you think is the next thing for TikTok?
Wow, big question. Monetization, one of them, eventually. But that has kind of been whispers on the hill for like 3 years now. It will come in because it has to, because that's what all the other platforms are doing. But I do think this is a slow change for TikTok stories and the 10-minute content. Those two are, like, to me, super obvious that, okay, they're going to bring in monetization and they're going to try and change the way that people create content on TikTok. That's not going to be a short win. That's going to be a long-term strat. To be able to bring in mid-roll ads and all that sort of stuff. E-commerce, again, obviously a huge space. You know, being able to shop things on TikTok, I think people are really starting to clock onto. There was a big thing that went around, which again I saw offline on TikTok, I saw all over Twitter, where there was this massive water bottle that was being sold, and I just saw
one of my team has that freaking bottle,
the pink and blue one. There you go, 99p from TikTok. Just blast paid through it, and then people buy it, and you get your ROI or whatever. So that's a huge space. And then yeah, I think it's just going to like continue to grow and evolve from where we're at now. So the trends, the sounds, brands adopting that tone of voice, how that tone of voice grows. You know, there's always different terminology that comes out. You know, mid is something that's come out in the last couple of weeks that like we're suddenly already hearing everywhere. No cap is another thing that's come out the last couple of months. That terminology will evolve. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting like 6 months for TikTok because everything happens so quick. My
favorite story on TikTok is Caitlin Raps and how she stitched Russ doing his he was released his song Handsomer, and he said he was releasing his song on Handsomer and said duet this and add your verse in. She duetted it, added her verse in, and it blew up so much, more so than the original video, that he actually invited her to be a feature on a remix, and she just went and did a tour with him.
That's sick.
And like that to me, from an age, I'm just like, wow, like that is the power. That is what social media originally was about connection and opportunity. And that is just an example of just one person's life completely changing.
But also
off the back of just like interacting with someone's video.
Francis Bourgeois, I always feel like I'm saying his name. Just a kid who likes trains, and now he's the face of Gucci, North Face.
Yeah.
Like, he just likes trains.
And also completely rebranding this idea of what an influencer or a creator is.
And KB Lame, another great example of somebody who doesn't even say anything as content. He's just a kid that debunks by being like, that's fucking stupid, and creates a video that's mainly around 5 minutes crafts, because usually all of their stuff is like hammering a spoon the other way around to eat it. So stupid. But a great example of somebody who just was a normal person who has had opportunities. Like, it's amazing. And he's now, I think he's actually in Forbes 30 under 30. It was just listed yesterday. Yeah, rightly so.
And he's also the face of Hugo Boss, I think, as well, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think Calvin, but maybe I've got that wrong. Calvin Klein, I'm not sure. But just creates opportunity for kids who never had that before, so it's great.
And what's next for you?
Asleep.
I love how we both came in and we're like, how are you? And you're like, tired. And you're like, how am I? And I was like, tired.
No, I don't know. We're just
entrepreneur life.
Yeah,
just tired perpetually.
I've got really big bags under these eyes. But no, I think we'll just keep growing and keep helping people. Like, all I've ever wanted out of TikTok is to prove the opportunity that I've experienced firsthand and offer that to brands. So yeah, just keep growing and see where it takes us.
I love that. And the last question I'm going to ask you, I ask this to every single person that comes on the podcast, because I actually think everyone always has a different answer, and I think it's a really interesting thing to ask. If you could go back to, it's normally 21, but I'm going to say 18 because that's when you first started creating Monday. If you could go back to 18, what are the 3 things that you would tell yourself?
Don't panic or rush. It's going to be fine. Enjoy your youth, because I think I skipped mine because I was so set on being an adult. Enjoy it. Like, you've got no responsibilities. You have bills to pay. It's so cliche. Just fucking live life as a kid. And appreciate people around you. Appreciate your family. Appreciate the opportunities that you're given. Look for opportunities, like be able to like give value to people who are giving you value. Say yes to everything. And that's something I did when I was like 19. I said yes, and all these opportunities exploded. So just say yes and see what happens.
I love that. It's like, say yes to everything now so that you don't you can say no to stuff later.
Yes, exactly. Just give yourself the opportunity and the option. Why would you close off doors when you don't need to?
I love that.
Yeah.
Vic, thank you so much for being on the
me.
pod. This is like the most fun conversation. I need to go make like more TikToks now.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Amazing. Thank you.